Hello, hello! Welcome everybody to another Thunderbird live hacking session. As usual, my name is Alex and welcome everyone. How's everybody doing? As usual, right in the chat, how are you? Where are you from? Where are you watching this video from? What time is it in your time zone? Right now here it's Vancouver, Canada. It's 11:30 a.m. in the morning. The weather is terrible. Up until 2 days ago, we had like some beautiful sunny spring, early summer weather. Now it's just atrocious, just rainy. It's cold. I'm wearing my gloves again after months that I haven't been wearing them. So yeah, terrible weather. Makes me very sleepy. It's gloomy. I don't like it at all. But anyway, little disclaimer, if you see me suddenly jumping away and stopping the streaming or like leaving the streaming on without anyone, it's because my dog is sick, has been having some like gastric refluxes or something, like his digestion is all messed up. So he hasn't slept the entire night, and consequentially I haven't slept the entire night because he was sick. This morning is a bit better, but he still like kind of sometimes has these so I don't know how to call it, heaves, whatever. But yeah, if he starts throwing up, I have to jump and help him. So just a little disclaimer, apologize for any issues or any interruptions to this beautiful live streaming. Welcome already some people in the chat. It's always lovely to read your messages. And little disclaimer for newcomers or people that haven't participated in these live streamings before. This is very casual. I like to read the chat. I like to answer right away. I like to showcase what we're working on Thunderbird and do some coding to fix something. But it's not gonna be like super technical, or it depends. It might turn into super technical, but it's super chill. It's not a tutorial. It's not like an explanation, or it's not a walkthrough of specific features. It's just a very like just a friendly conversation with you all in the chat, because we live in a lonely time. So doing this live streaming and sharing my work with comments and help from the community, it's always lovely. So let's say hi to the people in the chat. Hello Draman. Hello Avery, is always good to see you guys. Marcio, hello Dan, good to see you. Marcio said Angola, Africa, nice. 7 p.m. Let's start without wasting time. Salim, I want to waste time, Salim. Just let me waste time. It's my time. Come on. Haslam, hello from Egypt. Oh, nice. Yeah, Danny and Draman. Yeah, it's fine now. He's a little silly dog that sometimes gets sick at stomach, and nothing terrible, nothing major. It's just didn't sleep much, so I'm slow as well. Now he's sleeping. Now he's just cuddling and sleeping because that's what it's gonna do all day. I have to work, so this is gonna be fun. Okay, a couple of new things that will land in the next daily, probably tomorrow. A couple of improvements on the message header side of things. So in 68, if you remember, we had give me just this message. We had the ability to customize the message header area. It was like a customizable toolbar like we have here. If we click customize, it opens this. This needs to be redesigned and reworked entirely. It's just terrible. But at least you can drag and drop all the buttons and icon, reorganize everything, hide the text and change the default settings. And we had the same functionality here for the message header bar, because we have potentially a toolbar with a lot of options. Some users don't want to reply. This was very annoying to maintain because it's not really a toolbar. We were tweaking and hacking a toolbar to be inside a container and pretending to be a toolbar. And it was kind of terrible, especially because this message header area, when through a lot of iterations and a lot of changes throughout like different level technologies. Before it was like full JavaScript, then it turned into XBL, then XUL. Now we're converting to HTML, pure HTML. It's just a mess. But a lot of users were using these because depending on the type of message that you have, you might have more or less, for example, this is a conversation with many, you have more buttons. You have a reply all, you have forward, you can have redirect. So the buttons, the amount of buttons change based on the type of message. The thing is that when you resize this, we have this little awful trick that it just goes on top, and then when you don't have enough space, it doesn't do anything. It just shrinks and cuts out and overflows outside the message header area. So that's why a lot of users were upset when we removed the customizability of this header area, because if you customize the toolbar here, you have the option to say, hey, just show me the icons. And you can see this is good for this type of situation. When you have a lot of icons, not enough space, you can just show the icons. But also it's not a optimal solution because it changes message by message. So you don't really maybe need to always have only the icons, but you need to be responsive. And we had a similar, actually we have a similar option for the quick filter bar, that also this is kind of a toolbar, but it's not customizable. But we have a responsive option implemented that when you shrink it down, there's not enough space to accommodate all the buttons. We automatically hide the label, so we have just the icons, and that changes, of course, it adapts based on your screen size. So we wanted to implement something similar here, just as a temporary fix, just to mitigate this. The whole message area needs to be rebuilt from scratch, and I have some mock-ups and design that needs, it's the new direction of the message header. But we implemented these responsive message header, which is very, very simple. It's just we already have an observer that checks when you resize your application, and we did a check on approximate amount on a what do you say? I'm losing the word. When you decide something, whatever. We decided a number, which is 700 pixel, which potentially in every resolution should accommodate all the toolbar buttons. But when you go below 700 pixels, it's just resizes. So if we have this type of situation here, same as before, we shrink it down, it goes below 700 pixel, all the buttons here, they lose the labels, and just you have simple buttons here, which is pretty straightforward. Right? So this is to mitigate the issue of course, when you resize it, if you go below the whatever size, but who uses Thunderbird DC resolution? This is like 400 pixel. Come on, it's just, no, don't do that. But this is gonna land tomorrow in daily, and then it's gonna land on 90. Version 19 is going to be available in version 91, which is awesome. Another thing that we implemented is the redirect. The redirect, it's amazing that I don't think any like web-based mail clients do. The redirect, it's awesome because it's basically like a forward, but it removes you from the conversation. So if you're in a thread with a lot of people and they're talking at something you don't care and they added you accidentally, you can just redirect this to someone else, and your email will be removed. So you're not gonna show up as a replyable recipient. So it's just like, get me out of the loop. I don't care. Redirect this to someone else. And this is very useful if you have multiple emails. Maybe you have like a couple of personal email accounts and a bunch of working emails or enterprise emails, and you want to just redirect some emails to another one without keeping the original recipients in the loop or stuff like that. So this is very cool. And we implemented, of course, a button here, which is redirect, which has this little cute icon here. So it's nice. I just got an email. This patch is from 2018. Okay, cool. Yeah, these couple of things will the redirect is already available, but an extra couple of things will land in the next daily, which is gonna be awesome. Meanwhile, we're so close to almost finish like the rest of like fourth step of the new account setup, and we're gonna finish it right now. And I want to start working on the last section of the account setup, which is the final page. I'm gonna show you the mockups that I did, and we will need to implement those mockups. But let me show you what I did and what needs to be done still. Let me compile. Salim said, first time someone read my chat. Really? I always read everyone's chat. Danny says, still better than a message list. Oh yes, the message list needs to be nuked and rebuilt from scratch. Amro, yeah, you're not late. We just started. I was just giving an overview of the new things that will arrive in Thunderbird in the next release. And now we are looking at the message creation, or the account hub, or account setup. How do you want to call it? I don't know. The account setup. This, look how cute is this. Oh, sorry. Okay, I did a lot of work on this. Still a work in progress, but it's almost ready to land. All the tests have been fixed, and there are a lot of good improvements. First of all, I'm using all the default HTML validation of the form. So if you try to press enter, boom, automatically this is done all in HTML and CSS. There's no JavaScript involved in this, which I love it. It's amazing. So if I write something like correct address here, if we click continue, look at these little whatever graphic octopus here. If I click continue, it turns into a sloth because we're slow and we're loading. So whatever, this transition in the next patch, I'm gonna create a fade transition only if you didn't disable your motions preferences, because there are users that are affected by animations. It gives them epilepsy or stuff like that. So you have an option to disable animation. If that's disabled, it's not going to do anything. But yeah, also when you have a successful configuration, you notice that the entire page just scroll down. I'm gonna simulate it again. So I'm at the top of the page. I can make this page smaller. So if you have like a very small laptop, you don't have much vertical space, click continue, it just scrolls down to make sure that the notification is in place. And then when you have a successful, it scrolls down again to show the final buttons, which is amazing. That's very important for visual accessibility, because of course, yes, you have the scroll bar, but you don't immediately see it. You might miss it, right? So always put into the viewport what it's important for the user. If you have a good configuration, everything is cool, you just click done and it creates. Otherwise, if you create configure manually, it opens the manual configuration. And I'm finally kind of satisfied about this approach that we decided here. And let me increase it so you can see them all. First of all, we removed a lot of extra unnecessary steps. We had a very cramped situation. Actually, I can show it, the old account creation, which is woof. It's woof. This is the old account creation. So if I do exactly the same at thunderbird.net, ta-da-ta-ta-da, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, boom, configure manually. Look at this. Look at the difference in size. Like, this is very hard for a lot of users to use. This is not keyboard accessible. We had an issue here. We still have an issue that when you try to use tab, I'm using tab to focus. This is an editable menu area that sometimes, now the focus, it's, I don't know if you can see it, there's a thin blue line here. The focus is on the menu list behind. And then if you click tab, it goes on the item. on the input field, but it's just random. The order is random. It shouldn't go in the menu list unless the menu list is visible on top. It was just an accessibility nightmare. And then because we had a lot of things, we have protocol, the server, the port, everything is cramped together, everything is squished together. It was very hard to navigate, especially you're dealing with the incoming section. You want to hit tab to go to the next one. In reality, it goes to the outgoing. So you were constantly, especially if you're a keyboard user, you don't use the mouse, or you use a screen reader to read your settings, you always had this jump between incoming, outgoing, incoming, outgoing, incoming, outgoing, incoming, outgoing. It was just a nightmare, not accessible at all. Very cramped. Everything in the dialogue, especially forcing a dialogue to resize to accommodate all the space, is just blech, yuck. And also another thing, here we used to do this sort of like weird thing that, for example, on outgoing, we detect if you have something and we pre-filled with the proper configuration. So you have the SSL. We know that Thunderbird non-net, the server or the host name uses an SSL, TSL, TLS configuration. So we set up automatically the proper port. We set up the server that recognizes that Thunderbird.net is also by fastmail. So we know the incoming and outgoing. We set up everything for you. But also, we do this weird thing. We give you other options, pre-filled, listed that you can select. And also we give you other options for the ports, which always confused me, because if you're using an SSL configuration, there's only one port, or unless the port is different because your IT provider or your administrator, your IT administrator has another port specified for your SSL configuration, or your like start TLS, like different type of authentication, or if you're not encrypted or you use the NTLM, you have different ports for those things, and those are standard ports. So why are we recommended non-SSL ports if it's selected an SSL configuration? So you could have an option, it could be like a user mistake that you have an SSL outgoing SMTP configuration set up, and then you check port 25. And in fact, we were doing this kind of weird thing. If you change the port, we try to do an auto detect. But that's super weird. Basically, we are giving potential options to the user. If you have a select with a menu list and multiple options, the user will assume that one of these options is still valid because we are suggesting an option. It's not. It's not valid. And also this manual configuration, it's used only by users that they know what to write. It's not a guessing game. It's not just, okay, pick a port from this list of ports that we are suggesting. Also here, if you select like no authentication, non-SSL, we automatically switch to 143, which is correct port because it's not an SSL. But if you switch to a secure incoming connection, we switch to the proper port. So why are we giving the option to user, if they have SSL, to select a non-secure, a non-SSL port? And also in this case, if we select this, we are forced to switch. Okay, I guess we auto detect. No, just this is not a guessing game. The user or knows or it doesn't know what to write. So we simplified a lot, and we simply said, hey, these are the configuration that we found. If we want to change it, change it. If you auto select something, for example, none, we switch the port. But sorry, my dog is coughing. Peter, you okay, bud? Okay, seems okay. False alarm. But if you select the port, for example, you have a custom port that you design and you change something here, we don't override that port because that port, you wrote it. So you know that that's the correct port. But if you use a default port or you leave it to 0 and then you select something that affects that port, we change it automatically. So we don't auto suggest, hey, you might use this port number, because why? We don't need to. Same thing for the outgoing, and also same thing for the host name. Like, we used to list all the host names that we currently have, because here I have a lot of accounts set up. Some are fake, some are XMPP, some are news feeds. We have different SMTP stored. So here we were doing this thing of listing all the known SMTP outgoing servers, no matter what type of address you wrote here for your host name, which is weird. Like, why are we auto-suggesting some options that are not correct from the options that the user wrote? So yeah, we simplified a lot of good stuff, and now this is way shorter, way simpler. Here I set these, like if you want an auto detect, you can set these to 0 and it's going to be auto detecting whatever your option. Whenever you change something, the done button is on, so you have to click retest in order to retest, and you can see scrolls up to make the notification visible, and if it's successful it goes back to done. Otherwise, actually, if you're already here, it doesn't scroll down because it keeps the focus on the notification in order to tell you, hey, we finished the check. So yeah, the configuration is correct. And if we do something like 994 and we click a retest, I think this should fail if I'm not wrong. Exactly, because as I said, we set up an SSL connection to a port that is not SSL enabled. It's not available in the IMAP fastmail. So, hey, settings are wrong. We cannot do it. Oh, I found a little mistake. Look at that. So if I change the port, the done button is disabled. If I click retest, and it fails, whatever, I think I can, yeah, if I click stop, the done button is enabled again. It shouldn't be enabled until we have a successful configuration. So if I do this and yeah, this is fine. Okay. But then okay, this needs to be, this done button is risky because we cannot just enable it randomly. We should enable it only if we have like, this is correct, like a positive return from the server. So this is something that we should fix, maybe in the follow-up. We still have to always remember that this section is very technical. So the majority of our users will not interact with these at all. This is a very small percentage of our user, maybe enterprise or IT administrators. They need to check this, or someone that is doing a manual configuration following a guide or some sort of like a step-by-step configuration guide. So this is perfectly fine. A couple of things that we need to fix. One thing that was suggested, this is repeated, right? We have set the port to 0 for auto detection, but maybe we can remove these two, so also this layout, it's better organized, and then we can put this type of description, like leave your port number empty for auto detection, or leave the input fields empty for auto detection. Underneath here, underneath the done button, underneath, just as a description here, we can put it. So that could be an option. Let's see how it looks, just to be sure. And I think I got an email here. Yeah. Okay, buddy. Relax. My dog is coughing again. No, it's okay. Hey. I don't think you can hear it because this microphone is pretty good. It's not picking up like random noises, but it's just like it's just heaving so much. Yeah, come on, it's fine. Go to bed. Yeah, go to bed. Poor doggos. I'm reading a couple of minutes. Sorry, a couple of emails. Sorry. I don't get it. Sometimes I read emails and I don't understand them, but it's fine. Okay, it's all good. Sometimes I get some suggestion. I'm like, what does it mean? This is confusing. Let's Hello, Pedro. Amro said using fire icon for junk is so funny. Some junk ship thrown in fire, except there is global warming. Yeah. Yeah, that's junk. It's just spam. It's just trash. Just burn it with fire. Draman, how did you do with incoming outgoing setup layout? How did you do? I just showed it. Maybe the question from Draman was before I showed it. Then he said, I'm glad you saved the whimsical artworks from Firefox. Yeah. Yep. Those are super cute. I want to save them because they help smooth out the experience, right? Draven says, seems you switch select list to number input, which solves the confusion for wrong suggestions for unsecure ports. Seems you switch select list to number input. Yes, so yeah, if you change the select of the connection security, automatically we assign a port which is correct, unless you manually change that port. If you manually change the port, we don't override it. If you left the default port that we suggested, we change it based on your SSL security connection settings in the dropdown. Julio asks, how can you learn so many programming languages? It's just time. So many. I don't know so many. But it's mostly time. Everything can be learned. Nothing is impossible. It just takes a lot of time. A lot of time and coding and patience. But yeah, let's code this baby. Let's code this puppy. Are we in the correct bookmark? Yes. Okay, account setup. HTML. So this description that we have here, we're using it for the incoming outgoing description. This is the account setup auto description. This description that we're using that says set the port number to 0 for auto detection. That was a suggestion here. It could be best to just add a note here. It could be best to just add a note down next to the retest button. Something like Thunderbird will attempt to auto-detect fields which are left blank. Something like that we could have. Then the auto-detect for the drop-downs could also go. The auto-detects for the drop-downs could also go. Unless I know what's going on, I might think auto-detect is an actual valid choice. We should allow auto-detection for those. Like now, my suggestion would be to have auto be just a blank option. Oh, a blank option there too. That's interesting. That's interesting. So a feedback that I got was to, first of all, let's do this, just a simple manual configuration here. So a feedback that I got was, first, remove this duplication here and put a more generic comment here underneath the retest, like leave the fields blank or leave the fields blank to let Thunderbird auto-detect your settings, something like that. And then the other suggestion was, instead of having auto-detect as a label, we could have a blank label. Because auto-detect might be misleading as an option. I don't think it's misleading. I think it's... what do you guys think? Do you think it's more obvious to, or it's more understandable to have an option like blank like this? Or can we even have like completely blank options in? Yeah, I guess we can. Can we have a placeholder in the select? Blank. Yeah, placeholders in select don't make sense. Yeah, see, like, no. This is terrible. I don't. Yeah, blank labels don't sound accessibility compliant. Yeah, Danny, you're right. Yeah, that's a good point. Let me reply. We should allow the cache for like now. My suggestion would be to have the auto be just a blank option there too, like drop down as when you haven't chosen anything. Blank options are not accessibility compliant. Actually, is it correct? Before writing something, let's just select option blank accessibility issue. Let's do a quick DuckDuckGo search. Default selection option is blank. Disabled, select an option. Could be, yeah, we could have an option like a disabled option. Something like that. Select an option, will be displayed by default, but if you choose an option, you will be able to select it back. You can leave it to auto, but if the option is disabled, yeah, Draman, we're already using area label pretty much everywhere. It's fully accessible, this thing. We can check by the accessibility tab in the DevTools. All these things are blah, blah, blah. So these label and combo box will have like it are labeled from the label actually, and the screen reader reads it. Combo box connection security options, and then reads the options from the list. But of course, if we leave the text label empty, this is an accessibility issue. Does not meet WCAG standard for text alternative. Exactly. Blank options are not accessibility compliant, unfortunately. We should leave some text. Maybe auto. Of auto detect. You should look, yeah, just Stack Overflow is the last place I trust in terms of accessibility. Yes, I know. Yeah, I usually check Stack Overflow for as the first answer, easy option. But yeah, the accessibility project. But also, yeah, the easiest thing is to actually use the Firefox DevTools, which are linked to the WCAG, and give you a better overview, and also the warnings if something is not properly accessible. So yay, this is great. Yeah, so this is not detect. Yeah, this is not. Submit. Okay. Thank you all for the help. Yeah, Dramen, it's correct. You cannot you cannot select disabled options. So having a disabled option is not correct. So these might be auto instead of auto detect. Yeah. So I think we can move this and have a better wording at the bottom, and then using the area described by to put the field set, the entire field set, put in there, because this is, of course, this is readable from like a user that can see and can read the screen, but visually impaired user that use a screen reader. I put this here because I'm using, oops, I shouldn't have clicked that. Now you're gonna see a little boop. Right now, there you go. I put this here and I set area described by to this number button, number input field, because a screen reader will read the description. So the user, even if it doesn't see, the user will know that you can't set the port number to 0 for auto detection. So this is uber accessible for that matter. But this option, like leaving the field to 0 or blank, it's true also for the host name, the port, and the host name of the outgoing. So for all these fields, so instead of having these repeated maybe 4 times, we can have a generic text here that doesn't really matter for a user that can't see, just you can read it. But with the area described by, we can set the entire field set. This is a field set element. That's why there's a group by, like, because field set, you should use field sets for field sets, of course. So we can have the field set that has a description based on these little text here. So we can do that. Let's do that. That's good. First good step towards the right direction. So account setup, auto description, we can change it. And what was the suggestion here? Thunderbird will attempt to auto detect fields which are left blank. Ooh, not okay. Let's copy these and let's elaborate on this. And you can write in the chat if you want to give me some suggestions for the wording. Of course, not a native English speaker here, so let's give it a try. First of all, we can use the power of Fluent to use the brand short name. Is this correct? Brand short name. Yeah, brand short name will be replaced with daily or Thunderbird if you're not on daily, of course. That's good. Thunderbird will attempt to auto detect fields that are left blank. That are left blank, which are left blank. Or we could rephrase it, something like Draman tooltip. Yes, we already have tooltips, and like the titles attribute does the tooltip, but the title for the input field number, something like this. First of all, let's give it a try. I'm willing to give it a try. This, what's the other described by? Yes, let's remove this input field. So let's try the incoming. Let's give it a title here called leave it empty, dude, something like that, just to test it if it works. Because we change Fluent, we need to recompile for the note. Yeah. So Boom, 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 boom. Configure manually. Okay, here. Leave it empty, dude. Yes, the title works as a tooltip for this, and then accessibility wise, there's a description is used for the title. So that's a good suggestion, Draman. Thank you. Thank you so much. So the thing that we can do here, let's copy this. We can duplicate this. Account setup, port, title, and can set up port label. I think we can do this here. Title. This should be inherited by the input field. I think so. Tamer, hello. What am I doing? I am working on Thunderbird, the email client. We are improving some accessibility areas in the account setup. The new account setup that I've been coding from scratch for the past month. It's not fun, guys. Not fun. Boom. Okay. So the title will appear here, but I think it's acceptable because it's the, where is it? The port will describe, like the description is set on the label, but the label styles, or actually the label transfers the area label to the number, to the input number. So the description should be correct, because when you use a screen reader and you switch on the input field, you inherit the thingy, I guess. Let's see. Oh, Tamer, thank you. Thank you so much for the donation. Are you kidding? Well, you shouldn't have to. Keep it up. Yeah, thank you. I'm keeping it up. Yeah. Wow. That's wow. You might be like the third person that donated through the chat. Thank you so much. This is I'm sorry. I'm shocked by this. Okay, one thing, I guess I'm gonna leave it like this for now. This is the easiest thing for me, because the input field, we don't have I'm not using a Fluent ID for the input field, and I prefer to leave it like that, because the placeholder, it's not translatable, shouldn't be translatable, it's just a 0. The label, it's what styles, or actually the label is what gives all the accessibility features or options to the input field. So the label has the 4, and it's inheriting also the description. So screen reader will read the label, but we will read the title. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the title is read by screen readers. That's why we I will test it anyway. I think this is a good solution. So this should be working also for this same thing. Yeah, set the port number to 0 for auto detection. Yes, and then we can have a simple description here that doesn't affect, or actually it describes the full bloop, this one. Account setup, auto description, will Thunderbird will attempt blah 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 blah. So underneath the retest button here in the actions container, account setup, footnote, tip caption. We have it here. We can have another of these. I can duplicate footnote, tip caption, but only for the manual configuration. So let's put No need for this. Let's change account setup auto description. Let's cut this. Let's put it inside the manual config area, inside this section. Because this is the link, underneath the link. Because this shouldn't be visible unless you enter the manual configuration section, right? Right. Like build. Okay. Oh, my dog is sleeping peacefully finally. Hopefully we pass the worst. Okay. Bum. 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 Manual configuration. Okay. There's some styling that needs to be done here. Spectre. So let's remove the footnote. Oh. Or maybe before the link row. Drama, you suggest you can say if you're not sure, leave blank for auto detection. We have we're trying to avoid so first of all, we spend a lot of time in trying to craft the text in order to avoid to use shorthands, like very short messages, leave it blank to use default values. That's why our text it's kind of verbose sometimes. I don't know if it makes sense. Like, your credential will be used according to our privacy policy and will only be stored locally. Like, we could write these into read our privacy policy to know how we use your credentials, something like very straightforward. But we try to be as verbose as possible, as clear as possible, to try to leave out any confusion. So even like if you're not sure, like your suggestion, if you're not sure, leave blank for auto detection. So if you're not sure about what, leave blank what. Like, there are all these open questions that maybe an experienced user like you or a technological literate user like you will understand right away. But also these variates language by language. And since this string will be picked up from translators and localizers, we need to be as clear as possible so they can properly translate these in our language. Because maybe the shorthand leave blank to use the default values doesn't properly translate in another language. So that's why we need to always put fields that are left blank. So what is left blank? The fields, the input fields or whatever, the drop downs. Daily, it means like Thunderbird, because if we leave just for auto detection, what is auto detection? Who's doing the auto detection? Do I have to do the auto detection? I know they all sound like silly questions and like very silly problems, but we had users complaining about not understanding our descriptions and stuff like that. So that's a reality, unfortunately, we have to deal with. So sometimes this seems a little bit too verbose and too long, but it's necessary. So yeah, daily will attempt to auto detect fields that are left blank. We're gonna have these, but this looks terrible. Here it's good, but here I need to tweak it. That's too much. I don't like it. See, like the balance of discoverability and clear messages and a good UI that it's not like a lot. It's just messages. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like this message. Oh. Why are we doing this? If I put it in here, it's gonna look terrible. Yes, because, yeah, of course, it's Flexbox. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like this. I'm also tired because I didn't sleep much. So my ability to take like educated decisions is very skewed right now. But I guess oops. Where did it go? Oh, it's just gone. Where did I put it? Up here I put it. Moving this thing around like a maniac. This is my life, right? Left and right, left and right. Oh, a little bit more. No, a little bit up, a little bit down. No, I don't know. I don't know. What should I do? I don't know. Why I cannot put it here? Just go up. Okay. Yeah. Sean says advanced config a great bounding box. No, because the advanced config it's not part of the outgoing server. The advanced config is part of both incoming and outgoing server. And it's right here. It's small to the right because it's an extra step. Basically, the account config will allow you to skip the validation step, and just create an account with all these settings that you wrote. And not go through the test of trying to actually connect to the server and use your settings. That's important for some advanced user that they need to just set up a bunch of things and then they need to manually configure in the account settings, because in the account settings you have more options to manually control everything. I guess this could... Man, I hate that then I have to assign an ID to these and then I have to hide it and reveal it alongside the manual configuration. It's so annoying. Wingman says, great contents and still waiting for your updated Gutenberg video. Yeah, we'll do those. Question about WordPress. A bit off topic. Is there any way to create customized block in Classic Editor just like in Gutenberg? No. I wish we could debug with an external ID. Yeah, Danny. Dream big. Hello, Mercury Jews. Mercurius. Cool. I guess it's not too bad. It's not too terrible. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. I guess this is my life. I gotta do this. Got an email here. Daily paragraph under the page title before the content. No, that wouldn't make sense, because this is that paragraph is only relevant when you access the manual configuration. If you don't need to access the manual configuration and you do the whole process without accessing manual configuration, that paragraph is just irrelevant. It's just not necessary. It should appear only when you access the manual configuration. I put in here just you give too much importance to something that is not relevant. And also it's misleading because you cannot leave these fields like the email address or full name or password empty, because we cannot auto detect those. So it's only applicable to the manual configuration. I could have the... Oof. Hey, wait. Just a sec. Why don't we put this... Pram. Instead of footnote, we use the tip caption here. Okay. What about this? I'm not gonna sing it for a copyright strike, but yes, Denny, it's my life. Oh, under the manual configuration title. Yeah, you meant this? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I don't know. It doesn't look great. I don't like it. I mean, we could style it potentially a little bit. So first of all, margin block. Start with just... Okay, let's do this. Margin block 0 and 1 a.m. Something like that. We could give it, right? Yeah, you could list something like that. Okay. Okay. I think this is an acceptable solution. Yeah. So it's inside that section, and I have to hide it or reveal it alongside the manual configuration section. What is this? Section title. Section title. We have it here. Put it here instead of footnote. We use a section note. So footnote instead of footnote. Actually, what is section title here? Section title. Okay. Whoa. Title note. What do we do for this? Margin block. This. And then we could give it an ID. Could give it an ID. Something like manual config. Oof. Description, something like this. And then by doing so, we can add to the field sets. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Give me the field set. Give me the field set. Wait. This is the wrong section. This is the results area. Whoopsie. Sorry. I was adding it to the wrong section because the section title we have 2. This is the manual configuration area. There you go. Eee, that would have been silly. In the field set, we can set legend data. No. Area described by manual config description in the incoming field set, and then in the outgoing field set we can do the same. Area described by. We can do something like this, I think. I think that's acceptable. Okay, let me read a bunch of comments. Draman, a help info button icon with tooltips. I wouldn't do that because icons are... We don't want icons to be focusable, to be read by screen readers. Then they need to be focusable, or we could do the area described by that icon ID. But yeah, I mean, it could could be also like a question mark or an info icon close to the title. That might be a good solution. We could experiment with that. Looks good. Looks good. Draven says, I think the only way to make the text look good to an Italian guy is to make it italic. Yes. You won 1,000 victory points or internet points, whatever. That's a good joke. Configure manually. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. We forgot to set section note. Section note? Section title note should be these. Yeah. Section title note. Is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? It's here. Section title note. Yeah. Daily will attempt to detect the fields that are left blank, and then here we can check if our accessibility is doing the thing. Yeah, the description. Field set, incoming server. So it's good because we have the grouping incoming server, and all these, you see like the accessibility tree, it's correct because all the labels and the combo boxes and the input fields are inside the incoming server grouping. So we don't need to repeat that this label is the incoming server protocol all the time, because automatically being inside the field set, it's grouped inside that container that has the proper name. So phenomenal. Fantastic. So it's good. The user will know in which area and which section it is. And this is not bad at all. I think this is pretty acceptable and shrinks down also extra space. We save extra space because we don't have that description in line there. Just good. Just good. Yeah. I think we have an extra CSS that note, tip caption, what was count, setup description, tip caption, port caption. We don't use this. We don't use this anymore. Port caption. Yeah. Block 3. Ow. Get out of the way. Get out of here. Okay. Then, no, I don't need to write any. Okay, then I have another bunch of comments here that are super valid. Refer to just simple needs text and bunch and stuff like that. So, incoming server host name. Okay, I think this should be mailexample.com. Okay, so we are using this host name, this placeholder here. This placeholder here, we need to be very careful what we put in a Fluent file because this is translatable. And this might be translatable because, for example, in Italy, you could have like esempio, esempio, I don't know how to write Italian anymore, esempio.it. You could have something like that, right? If we want to. But do we want to? Or should we just leave it international, like example.com? Because a .com extension, and this is just a placeholder, it's not really something, it's just to give a hint. So it's fine. It's fine. Here, instead of having a whole Fluent thing that can be translated, just mail.example.com. very straightforward. And we can put this, or we can remove this. Doesn't need to be translated, doesn't need to be supported. It's easier, it's shorten the files. Also a bunch of different benefits. And also incoming server host name is missing the placeholder. So yeah, incoming host name, it's missing the placeholder, and now it's not missing the placeholder anymore. So then here, these three, so OAuth, NL, NTLM, and Kerberos shouldn't be translated. This is another thing, right? This is another thing. We don't want these to be translated. These are not country-specific or language-specific options. These are international options that shouldn't be touched. And also start TLS, SSL TLS, maybe also these. Okay, first remove this. But we, let me check incoming auth method. What do we have here? Incoming auth method value. Auth. Okay. Values initialize and configure. Okay. Value. Woof. It's good. My God. I am sleeping. Okay, so this Kerberos GSS API, we don't want to use this, but we want to have a simple text here because this shouldn't be localized. Boom. And we can remove this. Prem. And this is NTLM. No idea what that is, but it can be removed because it shouldn't be localized. OAuth also is international. It doesn't matter your country. It's super duper international. So, oops, not duplicate. Global search. Value 10. We can delete these. And OAuth. Does it fit on one line? Kinda does. So we can keep it that way. That's good. Value 10. This is hidden. And this is OAuth. And this is good. Danny says, Alex, you reconsider your decision to reduce your intake of caffeine today. I already had 3 coffees today. And let's always remember, not forget that I woke up this morning super early to go to groceries because I go grocery shopping Thursday morning, like at 7:30 a.m. With masks and gloves and shit. So other than not sleeping at all, I also woke up early to go for grocery shopping, and I'm just tired. Draman said, do you commit unrelated fixes in the same commit? Yes, Draman. We don't have a commit system. We have a patch system. So I'm currently, and this is more like Bugzilla, how we use Bugzilla. So we have, especially in this section, your concern and your question is very on point, and absolutely we follow that. Like, don't work on other things if you're working on fixing something else. But in this situation, we're using this bug that it's a meta bug. When you set this as a meta bug, basically you have a bunch of unrelated patches, a bunch of related patches that touch multiple things that you push on the same bug. So you have a million different patches because this bug is put the email wizard dialog in a tab. This is a very generic bug, generic name. It's not specific to anything. And then I started doing, okay, first the first thing is open the email wizard dialog in a tab, then fix the dark mode and the Proton style, then rename all the files to account setup, then implement the new UI and strings, then make adding certificate exception or account setup work again. Then now I'm working on remove the ZUL, the XUL, and update the strings and UI of the account setup. That's the current bug that I'm working on. That's the current, not bug, the current patch. And this is on Bugzilla, but to patch reviews, we use Fabricator. Fabricator is just purely for patch reviews. That's why my patch here has a massive amount of files. Like I change, 1,725 lines on the account setup because the objective of this patch is removing all the ZUL, updating the strings, and the UI of the account setup. So there's no technological change here. I'm not changing the C++ side of code. I'm not changing the auto detection, the auto config, or the protocol setup. I'm just changing strings and UI. Just bam. That's why I'm touching left and right things, because that's part of this patch. That's the objective of this patch. But that's a very good concern. That's a good eye there. I respect it. Peace. Totally respect that. So we remove those. We have this encrypted password needs to be translated. Normal password needs to be translated. No authentication needs to be translated, and auto detect needs to be translated. It's translated. So that's good so far. We have these things, SSL options. Is SSL are these like international guys? Hello, international people. Are these translated like in Italy? These are not translated. SSL is SSL. TLS, these are protocol names, so are not translated. Are those translated in your neck of the woods? In your country? I don't know. But we can leave it like that. Then we had other comments here that I wanted. Incoming server host name is missing the place order. It could be mail or protocol. Actually, these three should be. This seems gone now. Okay, I kind of fix everything. Okay, I think we're good for now. I'm sure there are other things, other little things and love, that's magic. So now that I changed a bunch of things, first we are using Mercurial, we're not using Git. So I have my tracker here, all the changes that I did. I can also use the almighty terminal to do an htdiff and see all the diffs that I changed, just to do a quick review before submitting my patch. So I put the manual config description here, and I set the described label, the described field set described by area label to these. Perfect. I put a placeholder here. I removed the area described by. I removed the patch, the paragraph down here. I removed these options from Fluent and I put them written, manually written. Yes, or these are not translatable. Same thing here for the second field set. Put the placeholder here, remove this Fluent string. Same thing here for the bus, same thing here. Perfect. And then I updated the Fluent string. The port, I set the title, set the port number to 0 for auto detection, because that's different from auto detect because they're left blank. It makes more sense, and it's just a title, so it's just visible if you go on rollover or your screen reader reads it. Remove this placeholder because it's not used. Remove this because it's not used. Then we got the section title. I put the class. The port caption is not used anymore. Perfect. This looks good. So Draman says, I don't think they can be translated. We can ask a question. Reply comments. Should we remove from Fluent also start TLS and SSL TLS, or do you see any scenario in which those strings might be translated? Boop, the bed. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to translate acronyms. That's true, especially if they're like internationally known and internationally used acronyms. An SSL certificate is an SSL certificate anywhere. Okay, so let's do an HG add, amend the commit, and by amending the commit, we can change the commit message. We can keep track of all the files how many files I changed. Oh. Okay, that's good. And let's wait. I'm gonna wait a few minutes for the answer, and then I'm gonna push this patch if I don't get any answer. But let's read some comments here. Sean says, I appreciate your videos, Alex, and thank you for all you do in your videos and sharing your knowledge. Long-time subscriber. Hey, that's awesome. From your object-oriented programming WordPress days. Those days. Those were simpler days, right? When we could hang out to bars and restaurants and go out with friends and hug and shake hands. Beautiful days. Thank you so much for being a long-term subscribers. I really appreciate it. I know my content has drastically changed recently, but I follow my passions. Right now, I like doing this and I don't like to do anything else. But yeah, I will continue my WordPress and other things, and also Akira, doing a lot of work on Akira. I should be doing a live streaming of Akira this weekend. I'm working on some awesome things that I can't wait to share with you. Do you have any comments? Do you have any questions? Do you have any doubts? Do you want to see other inside and outs of Thunderbird, how it works, some sections, some little secrets of the Thunderbird code base or whatever? Yeah, let me know in the comments. I'm opening the chat. Hey, did you see the shit show that went on with Freenode? Hey, that was fun. Was any of you guys affected? Okay. With this, I switch to my face while I check my personal email, so you don't read my personal email. While doing this thing, I'm waiting for an answer, but I'm not sure it will come, so I guess we could push it. Those changes are very minor, so shouldn't affect the development time and blah blah. Oh, by the way, do you guys know that it's my birthday in 3 days? On June 1st, I'm gonna turn 36. 36. So fucking old. I hate it. I don't wanna get old. My skin is just melting and just everything aches and it's just terrible. But yeah. Oh, a bunch of questions. So Dramen, Akira Forever, yes. Sean, is Thunderbird going to get a UI update? Yes, Dramen. Sorry, yes, Sean. That's what I mostly been doing. It's a very slow process. It's not easy to update the UI. It's not like, let's refresh the entire UI, because Thunderbird is a massive application with a million different options, and it takes a lot of time, especially the review process and proposing a new UI and getting approved by everyone and making everyone happy. But a lot of things have changed already from last year, from 2 years ago. I started working at Thunderbird 2 years ago. So yeah, it's gonna change the UI a lot. We are rebuilding it from scratch, literally. We have a lot of... Actually, there's one thing that I can show you that sorry, you just got blasted by the intro. There's one super cool thing that we have, and it just landed on daily. So first of all, this is the new account setup UI, which I've been working on, which is good. But this is Account Central UI, which is the cool logo underneath. One thing that we're working on, it's basically the core of Thunderbird, is the list. These two lists, these are called tree XUL trees. These are a nightmare, accessibility nightmare, usability nightmare, styling nightmare. So we are looking to change this, but these are very performant. You can have like tens of thousands of messages and never slow down the scrolling and never get affected by anything. So building a new widget based on pure HTML, it takes a lot of time, but we started experimenting with the address book. So if you are running daily and you go into your preferences, you scroll down in the config editor and you search for address book, you should have this mail address book, use new address book. You can set this preference to true, by default it's set to false. And if you do that, you need to restart Thunderbird. Just open the address book. Address book opens in a specific tab. And this widget here uses, look how sweet, it uses a new pure HTML, is a custom element of a pure HTML menu list, or row list, how you want to call it, whatever, to to list these things. And we have this new edit, so it's not tab. So we're working on this. We're working on refreshing these main UI, and we're working on refreshing the header bar. It's gonna take a lot of time, but we're slowly working on it. A lot of UI improvements have come to the compose message. I don't know if you saw how the attachments work. If I check a picture here, for example, the Thunderbird future image, and if I go and roll over, look what happens here. You want to insert it in line, or you want to add an attachment. If you add an attachment, focus on this area underneath here, the bottom left. Look what happened. Boop. Yay, cute, eh? You get a little +1 that opens up, and if you click, it's just it changes things. And also, yeah, of course, the addressing widgets peels that you can drag and drop and put in whatever section you want. Just a lot of small, it takes a lot of time to do small incremental changes that don't destroy the UI, that keep it usable and accessible, but also they refresh the UI in order to fix all the usability issues. That's one thing that I am very focused in doing the UI of Thunderbird. I don't want to do the UI for the sake of doing UI. I don't want to just change the design just because I want to make it more modern, I want to make it more cool. No, that's not my objective at all. For someone, a new design might be cool, for someone else might be horrible. The objective is to improve the usability of the entire application, improve the discoverability of features, and make it easy to use. Make it easy, make it less frightening, less overwhelming. Right now, the Thunderbird UI is kind of overwhelming. There are a million different options in a million different sub-menus. It's a hella not discoverable, so that's my objective there. But yeah, thanks for the question, Sean. Marco Caputo, are you Italian? Sì, sono italiano. Sorpreso. Danny, let's deep dive in the chat code base. No, Danny, no chat code base. Every site I read about it by myself, I'm not affected. Read about it. Myself are not affected. Affected by what? Sorry, Avery, I missed it. Danny said, you look younger. Thank you. Is the coffee. Because I drink a lot of coffee. Is Italian. Is the beauty, is Beautify. I'm using a ring light. You can see the reflection of my glasses. Using a ring light makes me more beautiful. And because I'm wearing a hat, because I'm bald. So without a hat, I look older. But yeah, no, I do a lot of sport, do a lot of physical activity. Thank you, Draman. Sean says, I love Thunderbird, but sometimes feel the graphical interface could be updated to be more modern. I don't use the word modern because modern is very relative. What's modern? Modern is what it is now. Oh, Avery said, you seem to be aging gracefully. Thank you. You guys are too kind. What program is Thunderbird written in? The base is based on Firefox, which is C++, Rust, some Python, I think. And the majority of the interface of Thunderbird is built in HTML, JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript, and CSS. There are some sections built in XUL or Zul, which was old Mozilla markup to mitigate the shortcomings of HTML, but HTML now is very powerful, so it can do everything that XUL used to be able to do. Avery said, just drink a bit more adrenochrome and you will be fine. Oh, Avery's, the Freenode stuff. Yes, I'm glad you weren't affected by it. Thank you. Draymond said, when accessibility is in concern, you will have a very hard time to achieve a modern UI. I wouldn't say very hard time. It's more challenging, definitely. I agree with you. But I wouldn't say very hard time. As I show you the new account setup, it's fully accessible. The screen readers, they can read it easily. And it looks, we can say it looks modern. It looks better. It looks easier. It looks fresh. It looks more inviting to use. It looks less frightening. So yeah, I think like your statement was very true 5 years ago. Your statement was like 100% the truth 5 years ago. But with the recent HTML5 improvements, the recent introduction of new HTML markups that are by default accessible, and nothing needs to be done to tweak or hack the accessibility of things, it's I think it's absolutely doable. It takes more time. Of course, it's easier to use. Let's use a React component, which is super cool and does everything, but it's zero accessible because it's trash. But yeah, cool. Tololoop said, thanks for the clarification. Oh, it's okay. You're very welcome. Okay, I think I'm gonna push this. I'm not getting any answer. Probably it's too late, but I'm gonna push this. I merge everything. Yes, the diff is a modes fab. Let's push this. One commit. Yes. Bram. Ooh la la. We pushed. Hey. Master. Okay. So after this patch has landed, the next step is to actually create the final page, which right now in the account setup, if you do the account setup, Sean, you're seeing like some sneak peek of the new Thunderbird UI that I want to implement. So first of all, I want to implement this. This is new message header to have like a better layout than what we have right now, which is terrible. This is what the address book should look like in the future. That was the first step. This is what the address book is, the objective of the address book, with like a modern list, a better UI to edit all the things. So that's good. And this is what the folder pane might look like. with having built-in options to change the icon, set colors, or use like highly defined icons, whatever you want to call them. Change the options here. Well, all this good stuff. But yeah, the next step in our journey is to having the login successful page. The login successful page is basically right now when you create your account and it's done, it just closes and it just loads the page and loads your emails, blah, blah, blah. But we want to just guide the user to the next step and do the next most common action. So the entire page will refresh, not refresh, it's just dynamically change the content. We have a big, hey, account successfully created. Awesome job, great work. A little recap here. And then here we want to suggest some most common actions that we want to push. So hey, you should set up an end-to-end encryption, download the dictionaries for your own language if you use, add a signature, or access the account settings if you want. But also something very important, it doesn't exist now, and I want to implement it before the next stable version of Thunderbird, is the auto-discovery and auto-setup of calendars and address books. Because right now, if you want to set up your calendars or you want to pull your calendars from your remote service, you have to check in your service what's the CalDAV URL, CarDAV URL, or LDAP if you still use that, and copy that URL, manually set it up in Thunderbird. It's stupid, because if we have your host name information and your address, 9 out of 10 times we are able to auto-detect your calendar and address book and automatically sync it. So you just click here, configure, it just switches to the calendar auto configuration, and we import that for you. So this is the next step where we're going to work on. Hopefully I will have it almost ready and finished for the next live streaming, but even before, I'm pushing it. Draman, you're absolutely right. Working with designers not aware of accessibility guidelines, it's hard to explain them how and why. That's why I meant very hard. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. It's true. That's absolutely true. There's nothing else I can add to that. That's absolutely the gold standards. Designers should know a little bit of HTML. Especially if you're a web design, you should know a bit of HTML, just the basics, please, or even CSS, because sometimes that's why I don't like Dribble. I don't know, like Dribble, the whatever community for designers. All the designs on Dribbles are beautiful to see, but they're just impossible to build because they're just crazy out of the box. They wouldn't work on any other resolution other than the quick resolution that they created there. They're not scalable, they're not accessible, they're not just. So a pure designer, yes, it's catchy. That's why I'm a unicorn. I'm a designer and a developer. That's the best of both worlds, or the worst of both worlds, you could say. That's up to you. But yeah, this is the goal for the next session. Hopefully we're going to have something visible and usable. Set up CarDAV and CalDAV and never did it, so it's going to be interesting to find how that might work. But yeah, good stuff. Well, I think we are at the end of this beautiful, wonderful live streaming. I hope you enjoyed it all. As usual, if you want to support this channel, leave a like to this video, subscribe. We're almost at 90,000 subscribers. We are like 20 subscribers away from 90,000. Just help me reach 90,000. It's just mind-blowing. Share this video. Just let everybody know, hey, look at Thunderbird, what they're doing. Super cool. And there's a link in the description for Linode if you're looking for a cloud service provider that doesn't steal your credentials, doesn't steal your data, and just allows you to do whatever you want and supports Linux, fully supports Linux. Just check Linode. It's linode.com/alecad. You can get $100 off credit for your first 60 days. You can burn through those $100 and just smash down a VPS. And that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I wish you a great rest of the day, and until the next one, as usual, happy coding. Bye-bye.